Hello and welcome back to Drinking by My Shelf. My name is Emma and today I'm going to be doing my book jail update for February. If you don't know what the heck I'm talking about, I will link to my book jail video up here or in the description box below so you can see what that's all about. Basically, the gist is that I put myself on a book buying ban because I've got just too many unread books, and I've set myself certain challenges I have to tick off in order to get out of book jail, which is this creation that I've made. Last month I didn't do too well. I only got 4 out of the 50 points that I need to break out of book jail, so let's see if I did any better this month. So the first way to get points is just I get 1 for every book that I read this month, and in February I read 10 books. Firstly, I read The Student, which barely even counts as a book. It's a little joke book that I got for Christmas, but it was very funny and I'm counting it. Second, I read My Not So Perfect Life by Sophie Kinsella, who's the author of the Shopaholic books. I absolutely love her. Wow, this book is so bright that when I hold it up, I go dark. It was really funny. It's basically about a girl living in London and trying to make her life more Instagram perfect than it already is. And I interviewed Sophie Kinsella about this book for Bustle, so I'll put a link in the description box if you want to go and see what we chatted about. Thirdly, I read this super creepy book, All Is Not Forgotten by Wendy Walker, and I've done one of my 60-second reviews, so you can see more about it there, but it's really terrifying. It makes my skin crawl and I loved it. Book number 4 was All Our Wrong Todays by Alan Must Die. Basically, it's a time travel comedy, and I don't tend to like sci-fi, but I do like time travel. But anyway, I bloody loved it, really recommend it, it's great fun. Number 5 was Let the Dead Speak by Jane Casey. It's about a girl coming home to her mother's house to find it this really gruesome crime scene. There's blood everywhere, but her mother's body is nowhere to be found. Book number 6 was The Enchanter by Vladimir Nabokov. This is basically the book that he wrote before Lolita, and it's essentially Lolita. It's pretty much accepted that it's not as good as Lolita. I mean, I don't like Lolita either, it gives me the creeps, but this one's just not as artful, is what people say, and I guess I would agree with that. Book number 7 was If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo. I read this for the Girl Sex 101 book club that I am running with Emma Tobias. I'll leave a link to that below so you can see what all that's about. But basically, If I Was Your Girl is about a trans teenager starting a new school and making friends and starting a romance, and it's a pretty sweet and happy book. The 8th book I read was History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. I absolutely loved his last book, More Happy Than Not, so I've been really excited about this one, and I love this one so much. It was so sad, it made me cry so much, but it's really wonderful, and I just think Adam Silvera is one of the greatest YA writers at the moment. Love him. Book number 9 was called Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. That's been a really hugely anticipated thriller. It's coming out next month, and I will do a review for it very soon. I liked it, but I don't know why I didn't love it, because I'm a huge fan of domestic psychological thrillers like that. It had all these amazing twists and turns that I didn't see coming, and they were really exciting to find out, and on paper it's everything that I love in a book. And even the second I finished it and I started describing it, I was like, maybe I should read it again, because that sounds like a book that I would love. For some reason I didn't fall completely in love with it, but I did really like it, and I would definitely recommend. A very interesting book. The premise, by the way, which I forgot to mention, is that it's a woman who is currently in a coma, but she can hear everything that's happening around her. So it's this really claustrophobic setup that you're reading from, and she introduces herself by saying the fact that sometimes she lies. So you don't know whether you can trust her, and all of that just sounds so good. I'm convincing myself again that I'm going to love it. Finally, book number 10 was Kissing the Witch by Emma Donoghue. This is a collection of fairy tale retellings, but they're very original, very different from the originals, and very beautifully told. And what I really like is they all connect to each other. So at the end of each story, one of the minor characters will then reveal her story, and they all kind of link that way. So really liked this one, really good fun. Wow, I vanish every time this comes into screen as well. Sorry, this is a very badly done video, but I'm kind of in a rush, so we're just going to stick with it. Okay, the next way to win points is ticking off boxes in Diversity Bingo. So this month I read a romance with a trans main character. That was If I Was Your Girl. I read a book with a neurodiverse main character. I wasn't quite sure what that meant, but I googled it, and it seems that OCD is counted as being neurodiverse, and the main character in History Is All You Left Me has OCD. And so does the author Adam Silvera, so its own voices, as is If I Was Your Girl. And then finally, I read a retelling with an LGBTQ+ main character. A lot of the stories in Kissing the Witch were retold to be queer, so that was that one. My third challenge was to complete some of the read harder reading goals. So for a book set within 100 miles of my location, Let the Dead Speak was set in between London and Oxford. I live in Oxford and London is within 100 miles, so that was that one. For read a debut novel, I read All Our Wrong Todays by Alan Must Die. For LGBTQIA+ romance, either History Is All You Left Me or If I Was Your Girl would count for that, so that's one there. And then for a collection of stories written by a woman, that is Kissing the Witch. If you're wondering, by the way, what the rules are for using the same book, I'm saying that I can tick off any of the different challenges with the same book, but within Diversity Bingo, it has to be a different book for each thing, and within Read Harder, it has to be a different book for each thing. Does that make sense? My next challenge is to do the Throwback Book Club, which is basically encouraging you to go back and read books that were published at least last year or earlier, because otherwise we can get so caught up in new releases we forget to read the old stuff. So 5 of my books this month were published before 2017. That was All Is Not Forgotten, The Student, The Enchanter, If I Was Your Girl, and Kissing the Witch. The book Happiness Project this month, the theme was happiness and love, and they had 2 set books. I didn't read either of them because I didn't own them, and it would kind of go against the point buying new ones, so I got 0 for that one. I had a resolution to read books in translation, and The Enchanter was originally in Russian, so that's that one. And then finally, my Get a Hold of Your Shelf challenge. You can watch the video, I'll link that wherever it goes on the screen. If you watch that, you'll know it was to read my shortest books on my TBR, which were The Student, the little joke one, and The Enchanter, and I read both, so that's 2. So this is what my book jail board is currently looking like, except I do have to admit that I did not own History Is All You Left Me before this month. So that is a definite penalty, minus 10 points for buying a book illegally. So now my board looks like this, which is still pretty good, I think. I've got 19 now out of a total of 50 that I have to get before the book ban is officially lifted. The funny thing is though, it doesn't seem to be working that well, because at the start of this year, when I decided to do this, I had 71 books on my TBR unread shelf, and I now have 72 books on that shelf, so I don't know how that's working. It's because I get sent books for free by publishers, and I'm not counting those as negatives because I often don't ask for them. But yeah, it's really not making any headway. But that was my book jail update and February wrap up kind of rolled into one. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and comment below if you've been trying book jail. I know a few people said they were going to give it a go. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for new videos every Thursday and Friday. See you next time!